If you've been thinking about buying a home in Lodi or anywhere in the Central Valley and you've got a list of questions and you don't even know how to organize all those questions into Google, then this video is for you. I'm Jesse Rivas. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams in Central Valley. I work with both buyers and sellers right here in Lodi, Stockton, Elk Grove, Galt, Manteca, the whole area, all the way to Sacramento and beyond. But today, I'm going to answer the questions I hear the most, the ones people are most embarrassed to ask, because honestly, they're great questions, and sometimes the answers, they might be able to surprise you. So, what I can share is that I bought my first home, back in 2004, and I had no idea what I was doing. I walked into a realtor's office, and the next thing you know, I'm closing on a home, some 45 days later. It's amazing. It happened too fast. There wasn't enough information given. Let's remove those blind spots. One of the questions that I always hear is, how much money do I actually need to buy a home in Lodi right now? And, the question is that most people think you need 20% down to buy a home. And that's just not true. I get this question more than any other, and I think people are shocked, when I tell them that, the 20% down, it's purely a myth. And it's keeping a lot of people on the sidelines, to be honest with you, and it keeps them there longer than they need to be. Here's what's actually available in this market right now. FHA loans, they're as low as 3.5% down. On a $400,000 home, that's about 14 grand. And I know that's not nothing, as they say, but it's not maybe as much as you think. Conventional loans, you can get them as low as 3% down in some cases. VA loans, if you're a veteran, potentially zero down. USDA loans, and if this area does qualify, some areas in the valley, that's also zero down in parts of the Central Valley. So that's great. The median prices right now in Lodi is about $615,000, up a bit from last year. And we see the same kind of going throughout the valley. Stockton, Manteca, Tracy, they're all up just a little bit. Well, Tracy's down just a slight bit, but that's great. So, what you see happening in the market right now is that there is movement, but it's not as much movement as you think. There's also down payment assistance programs available in California. Some of those are grants, meaning that you don't have to pay those back, and that's great news. So before you assume you can't afford it, let's actually run the numbers, and that's what I'm here for. Running those numbers will tell you really what you're going to need as a down payment and what you're going to need for your other costs associated with purchasing a home. All right. The next question is, does my question have to be perfect? And, that's a great question, right? Because when I walked into that office that first time, my credit was not that good. But here's the short answer is no. It does not have to be perfect. But the long answer, it depends. You have more options than you think. So most people assume that if their credit isn't perfect, homeownership is off the table. And that's just not true. A general ballpark, and, one is we always have to talk to a lender first, for your exact situation. That's important. But in general, FHA loans can go as low as a 580 credit score with 3.5% down. Some programs go even lower than that with a bigger down payment with your rates. But typically the higher your score, the better your rate, and that's awesome, right? But a lower score does not disqualify you, so that's important. Like I said, when I first bought my first home, my credit score was far from perfect, but I was able to get in that home fairly quickly and at a good price. But the loan probably was not the right loan for me. But what I always recommend is getting pre-approved first. Not a pre-qualification, but a pre-approval. And there's a big difference, and it matters. Because a pre-approval means a lender has actually looked at your income, your credit, and your debt, and it tells you exactly what you can buy. And now you know. Now you have that knowledge. And it makes sellers take you more serious when you're ready to buy. So pre-qualified versus pre-approved, it makes a big difference. And that is the short of it. So the next question is, should I buy now or should I wait for prices to drop? Well, the timing question, to be honest, is, one that everyone wants to know, right? If we all knew when it was going to be perfect, everyone would buy and sell right at the right time. But here's the truth. I'm going to be real with you on this one because, a lot of agents will provide that canned answer, and that drives me crazy. The honest answer is it always depends on your situation and what your goals are. But here's what I can tell you about the Central Valley market, specifically the Lodi and Stockton area. It's stayed pretty resilient compared to other California markets. So that's great. Prices haven't crashed the way some people expected. They're actually staying there pretty strong. But we have seen some movement. We have seen some that have been dropping a little bit lately. But there's still plenty of inventory. Compared to last year, inventory is almost the same, almost across the board. It's dropped slightly in some, went up a little bit in others, but really what you're seeing is the market has been fairly stable out here in the valley. But here's the framework I like to give every buyer that I work with. If you plan to stay in your home 5 or more years, in most cases, buying now beats waiting. If you're going to keep renting, that money's gone. You don't get that money back. And mortgages building equity, renting obviously does not. Timing the market perfectly, that's impossible even for most professionals. But this is important. If your finances aren't ready, waiting to strengthen them, that's definitely the right call, right? You don't want to get into a home if you're not financially prepared. Buying before you're ready is worse than waiting. So you want to be financially ready when you purchase. But the question isn't really, is now the right time within this market? It's really, is it the right time for me? Now, only way to really know that is for us to take a look at your financial situation with the lender. And we can find that out fairly easily. We have some great lenders here in the Central Valley and surrounding areas that are terrific. And not only are they great lenders who are truly invested, they want people to get into their homes. And that's important to have a lender like that on your side because it's incredible. I've seen some lenders who have really compromised quite a bit to help people get into their first homes. It's absolutely amazing. So let's take a look at your finances first. The next question is, what does, the actual buying process look like and how long does it take? And those are great questions, right? Everyone wants to know that. Then again, it sort of depends. But really, if you've ever bought a home before, that the process feels like you're inside of a black box. You don't know what is what, and you're kind of trying to figure it out on the way. So from a high level, let's kind of walk through those processes. Again, step 1 is getting pre-approved. This is your starting line. If you get pre-approved, it knocks out not knowing. Now you're dealing from a perspective of knowledge. And everything flows from, what you can actually spend and what you actually have and what you can afford. That's important. You don't want to put yourself in a bad position. And step number 2 is find your agent. Hopefully that agent is me. But, really, the agent has to be right for you, right? Because your agent is an advocate for you. A good agent is definitely going to advocate for you throughout the entire process. Your agent is going to negotiate on your behalf. They're the ones who's helping you, guide you on your offers, and they're protecting your interests. So it's important to have a good agent, one that you trust, one that's transparent, one that communicates openly, freely, and most importantly, timely. Yes, I've been on the other side of that equation multiple times. I know what it's like to have a great agent. I know what it's like to have one that's maybe not so great. And after that, start looking. If you're looking in Lodi or you're looking in the surrounding area, inventory can move fast. So when you find something you love, you have to be ready to move. And that's important because there's nothing worse than seeing a home that you really want and it kind of, you miss that opportunity because you're kind of in the let me wait and see. Next, make an offer. This is where the strategy comes in because it's not just about the price. It's about terms, timelines, contingencies. I'll help you put together an offer that's competitive without overextending you. That's my job. That's what I'm here to do for you. Step number 5, well, that's the good part because you're getting close to the finish line, but that's inspections, you open escrow, that's when you close. You're in contract. There's usually a 30 to 45 day in this escrow period. This is where the inspections occur. This is where any repairs or anything are discussed, what needs to be done. We're negotiating on your behalf, making sure you're getting to the home that you want. And, this is where the lender does their prayer. And then you sign, and we're celebrating because you're getting your keys, because we made everything work the way you wanted to work. When that feeling of purchasing your home, it's extraordinary. And I've shared this before. And I hate saying this sometimes because I feel like it's a humble brag to say I've purchased 6 homes. I don't own 6 homes. Just throughout my life, I've had an opportunity to purchase various homes at various times in my life. And I'll tell you this, for each home has been such an extraordinary experience, some better than others, especially when you have a great agent. It's a great experience. But the anticipation from writing that offer, the anticipation of working through the process, providing documents to your lender, communicating with your agent to find out what's going on when, things aren't moving at the pace you think, or wondering what, the seller is going to come back with, or whatever it may be, right? Those are just, the anticipation is incredible. But to get to that finish line, and when you're moving from that pre-approval point to getting your keys in hand, it's amazing. So, from a pre-approval to keys, in a normal market, it's probably about 60 to 90 days total. It can go faster than some people think, that's for sure. Sometimes a little longer. I've had it last a little longer when I bought a short sale. So there's variables involved, right? This is just a guideline, a general guideline. But, here's the thing. Those are the 4 big questions I wanted to answer for you and provide information on. And I could definitely provide more information. Your down payment, your credit, the timing, and what the process actually looks like. Hopefully I help shed a little light on that. But if you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I might actually be closer than I thought, that's exactly why I made this video, right? Because to give you an idea of where you realistically stand right now. The biggest thing that holds people back isn't money or credit, it's not knowing where to start. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you know where to start. If you want to sit down 15, 20 minutes, let's talk through your situation, let's get an understanding of your goals and what you want to do. I'm always happy to do that. Look, there's no pressure here. There's no commitment. It's just an honest conversation. You can reach me at 510-506-3800. You can find me on Instagram or on Facebook, Jesse Rivas Realty. You can also find me, obviously, on YouTube and some other sites too. My website is jesserivas.kw.com. But I'm here for you. I'm here to help you answer those questions. Like and subscribe. If you want to know more, drop a comment below and I'll do a future video on your question. And if you want to have a direct conversation with me, reach out. I'm more than happy just to answer questions for you, right? I'm here for you. Well, with that, have a great day. I hope this helped.